Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be diving into something every web developer must know: CSS and its three main ways to style it, which are the internal, external, and the inline CSS styling. Let's break them down one by one. So first thing, what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is actually a language that we use to style our HTML, like the color, the font size, the layout, and so many much more properties that CSS enable us to use to beautify our website. Basically, without CSS, our website will just be plain white and black. So let's dive into CSS, the three types of CSS styling. So I've opened my VS Code, my code editor, which I'll be using for this class. So I will quickly generate the boilerplate with control, then sorry, not control, shift, then one, then press enter. This is the boilerplate that has been generated. Let me title it Introduction to CSS. So in the body, our H1 CSS. Let me put everything in a div. So the H1 is just CSS. Let me open the preview so that you can be seeing it side by side as I'm doing it. Okay, the subheading or paragraph. Let me quickly copy the definition online. Let's copy this. Copy this. Let's paste it there. Good. We've pasted it there. Then still inside it. I don't like the way it is. Let's adjust it a little bit. The spacing is quite much. Remember syntax, so that we'll be able to differentiate it that this one is inside here. Good. I think that looks better. What again? Then let's do H2. Type of CSS styling. Let's use other lists. We have the inline, in order to save our time. Yo, so we basically have three type of styling. We have the inline, we have the external, and we have the internal way of styling our websites. So inline CSS means writing style directly in the HTML elements using the style attribute. So we said some HTML element has attributes like image as source and alternative, anchor tag as the href, the same thing with link, and some other HTML elements also have attributes. In fact, we can even add attributes like class, like ID on the HTML element. So how do we write the attribute for the style sheet with for the CSS? First thing, we write the style. We type in style. Remember, a small letter, then the equal sign. What do you want to change in the H1? Let's change the color property, right? We can just put the color. We can make the color. We can change the color to be tomato. Tomato. Yeah, this is the color of tomato. So remember, div is a container. We can There's a property called compose style equals to then background color. Can put background color. You can change the background color to blue violet. Good. We've already changed the background color blue violet. At the same time, I want the you can also change another we can add another property to it. Once when you want to add a property to it, you can just write it this way. The semicolon is already there to just so that the computer will know exactly what you are doing, that this one is actually for this particular property. So you can do there's a property called text align. I want to change it to center. Don't worry, all these things we will still talk about them. So I don't want to put this text align here. Let me remove it. I don't like the way it came out here. So I don't want to change I don't want the div, everything to be in. I just want the h1. So I can add the property here, comma, no semicolon, sorry, then text align. And one good thing about Visual Studio is that once you are writing it, there is autocomplete. It's giving you suggestion on what you want. So I've changed it to text align center, so it has gone to the center. I also want to change the color of the paragraph. No, I think I like the way it is. So I want to go to the H2. I also want to place it at the center. Also remember the attribute is called text, it's called style. then text align, text align, then center. Good. Then I also want to the color. I want to change the color. Which color should I use? Color. Then the property, the the value of the color. Let me just give it this. So for the ordered list, remember you must put style, the attribute style, then you put the property that you want to change. There's a property called font style. Good. You can see autocomplete is giving me possible list. Let me see what Italy we do. You can see it's tilted it to the side. Basically, this is what they call the internal CSS. Internal CSS. So like the name, like the explanation, you can see that the code is actually written inside the HTML tag. This is what the inline. It has pro and one thing is that internal CSS, it is not advisable for us to write code internally. Sorry for the inline. Sorry, this is inline, not internal CSS. I correct myself. So for the inline CSS, it is not encouraged for us to write code inline because it is not reusable. Reusable in the sense that you have to individually, you can see at a point I may have written, I wanted to, for the text align here, I wrote it in two places, but I could have just written it in one place and it will have effect on the two HTML element. But for this inline, you have to write them individually and it allows your code to be messy. Just imagine I want to literally make changes to every HTML tag. That means I literally have to be writing the code inline. It is not advisable to do that. So the next one we are going to talk about is the internal CSS. We call it internal CSS. Now the good thing about the internal CSS is that it is advisable to use internal CSS when your website just has just one web page. Example of this, just one web page. That means that you don't have multiple web pages. Once you have like this kind of website, some website can actually be in one page, just one page that you write all your code. You can write the internal CSS. And how do you write the internal CSS? The internal CSS is written at the head section. The head section. So this is the head section here. The head section. Why this is the body? So for me to write the internal CSS style, see what I will just do. I will create a tag, the style tag. Style tag is a open and closing tag. So once I press my enter key, Visual Studio Auto complete the code for me. So we start selecting them in CSS. We have four type of selector. We have the class selector, we have the universal selector, we have the ID selector, and we also have the element selector. So we are going to be using element selector in this type. An element selector has to do with the HTML element. So the first one we are selecting is the div. So you write this, open your your code will be written inside the curly brackets. Then well, the properties that we specified was just this. So let me copy it out of here. I've copied it out. Then I'll paste it here. So for your inline CSS, you don't need to put you don't need the quotation mark. Page one, it will still work. So we remove it. So the property that we are dealing with is the color, and the text align. You can see it's still working perfectly well. So again, we went to the H2. So let's select the H2 again. H2, the second most important heading. Then let's go down, let's scroll down. The H2 text align center and the color is this. So let's just write it text align. The property is text align, and we set it to center. I'm literally following the autocomplete. Color, this color is black, but this was not black we wanted. So the color was AQ. Good. Then we are going to remove it from here. We remove it from here. So the next one is the ordered list. The HTML element selector, the ordered list, and the ordered list we said the font family, the font family. Then we is it the font family? The font style. Good. Italy. Good. Then we'll remove it from here. Wow, you can see your code is more easier to understand. Like we actually separate the HTML from the CSS. So this is the HTML file that is below. Then the CSS is above. So it's more presentable. It's more presentable compared to writing it inline. You can see how it looks like. It is more presentable. Please take note that the internal CSS is okay for just single web page like this. It is this style is more preferable than the inline. It's just better for us to just know about the inline. You can see that the same code, the same style that we wrote before still applies in this one. They are still the same thing. So finally, let's talk about the, let me close this. Okay, let me leave it on open. So let's talk about the external CSS. The external CSS is best for real world projects. When we are talking about real world project, we are talking about building an application that have multiple web pages. Multiple web pages, like you can have the about page, contact page, and so many others. So in order for us to do the external CSS, with the word external, that means that the file is not presently in your HTML. That means it is external. You can see the word inline within the HTML code, internal still within the HTML, but at the head section. But external, that means that it's coming from a different file. So let's create a file here. You can see my my cursor here. I'll click on this. Let me call it, let me say CSS. Then let me click on this, create file, style.css. It should have this extension CSS. It's very important. When it's HTML, it must have this extension HTML. The extension is very, very important. Please take note. So what are we going to do here? So all the code that we've written here, now let's copy them. Let me zoom out a little bit. Good. So all the code that we've written here, I will just copy them. Let me copy them. I've copied it, and let me comment this out. Comment out is control then forward slash. I've commented it out. So this, you see the beauty of everything. This just like the explanation I gave. Without your CSS, your web page is just a white and black. So this just it, white and black. So now the external file, now this is it here. Then let me paste it here. Good. So I've already pasted the external file here. So now how do I link this my external file to my HTML? That's where the name comes from, external file. So now we'll go to this comment. I commented it as meaning that it will not, when the compiler is running, it won't run this as a code. It's just like a comment. Like as a developer, you may be handling a group project. It is not just only you that are in the group. So definitely you can be writing some comments so that the person, your team member, may be able to know that, oh, this is what I did here. I've not solved this. I need to do this. This is the reason why this thing works like this. So you need to put documentation, not just for your team member, for your own self, because maybe 2 years, 3 years, you may come back to look at the code and you'll be like, oh, what did I do here? So with the comment, you will easily have an information about, oh, the reason behind every code you wrote. So now in the head section, we will we'll type link. I will explain what it will bring out. So link will go to this CSS. So now href, that means the relationship is we are talking is it is a style sheet, so the computer already, the browser already know that is that's where the style sheet is going to be. That's the relationship. Why the href? Now, where is the location? It's just like the URL. Where is the location of this file? Mind you, we have two type of location. We have the absolute location and the relative location. Absolute location has to do with you obtaining information like your, like maybe say, let me say, picture from a hosted website. That means that the website does not currently exist in your computer. That is when they say absolute, but we are using the relative. So that means that now my style sheet, where is my location? Because my computer, I'm trying to define the location of this style sheet which I've created. Like this, my computer have no knowledge of this. That's why it's still like this. So now I have to, let me just remove this out first of all for just the sake of explanation. So dot slash means your current directory. I've explained these things in my previous video. This is from the current working directory. So from this current working directory, this is the current working directory. We have to we have CSS. So my file is inside this CSS. Then this, you can see my is able to locate it completely, and it changed. How easy and how simple it is. So this is just in summary. We have the three types of styling. We have the internal, the external, and the inline. But basically, we said each of them have their own ups and down. We said for the internal, for the inline, it is quick. Yeah, it's very quick when you are running it, but it is messy. It is messy. That means you have to keep writing all over your code. But for the internal, it is good, and it is very useful when you are creating just a web. Like a beginner, you'll be mostly be using the internal if you like, or you want to use external. Internal if the website is just short, so you can see everything is more logically arranged. You know that, oh, the head section is for the style, while your code is reading in the body. But for, well, when you are talking about, when you want to build a real life project, you will be making use of external CSS because it enables you to use a style sheet, this particular style sheet, to you enable to use this style sheet in your various pages of websites that you've created. You just write your style sheet inside a file, then you use your link to import them in your various files, and it makes life easy. Please, if you find this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which type of CSS you use most. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video where we will start styling a real web page using external CSS. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.